We're live with Chad Gerber. Yeah, why don't you do the intro, Chad?
Hi, I'm Chad Gerber. Welcome to CEO Wisdom Podcast with your host, Charles Cormier.
Cormier, yeah. Or your
Yeah.
guest. You can be your guest now. But yeah, we have Chad Gerber with us. Great guy, funny guy. He's the first guy that actually does that before I start a podcast. Chad is a platinum selling artist, creator of AI, spatial, and quantum telecommunication systems. So founder at Meloscene and ShadowGen. He's on the road right now, usually in Los Angeles. I'm in beautiful Oaxaca. And let's jump right into it. Chad, what are you up to nowadays? It's crunch time, stressful times.
Stressful crunch times, but it's good stress. We're launching Meloscene onto the Facebook, well, not Facebook, but the Meta store this month. So I'm getting things hammered out with the devs, glitch reports, all that kind of getting this last bit together. And then we are in the process of just doing stupid amounts of meetings with different groups from the military and investment groups about some ShadowGen technology that is also, I think we have the demo for this one particular piece that's going to be done today. So I think we start demoing that for some groups like next week. And then on top of that, I'm in production on some albums and things like that, and then a bunch of other just chaos. But that's the gist of it.
So there's another Chad Gerber out there. He's from Australia. He's a photographer. How does it feel to have a associate slash a competitor that ranks higher than you do on Google?
I mean, if you talk to any of the AI groups I've been doing this since the 90s. So at the end of the day, people come and go, but I don't. So I think it's great. There's lots of people have my name, and I think it's great that anybody pursues their passions and their arts. If we share a name, fantastic. But I don't do photography, and I've scored films, but that's not really my lane anyways. So there's plenty of room for multiple Chads out there.
So you started in music. What got you into entrepreneurship? Are both sort of the same?
Yeah, honestly, music is infinitely harder than just entrepreneurship in general because the way that the music industry is kind of built, it's sort of built on high school popularity rules versus commerce and logic. Um, so
Well
as
said.
a just being like adaptable and being able to navigate the constant fluctuations and changes, that just comes with the territory. So when I apply it to anything outside of music, it fits quite well.
Right. And why start in that specific space? You seem to be sort of a futurist guy. That tells a bit more about ShadowGen, and maybe if you can start with Meloscene because that one was created before that.
Yeah, so basically, when you're on the road and touring and studios and everything else, you have a lot of downtime. And my downtime just happened to be, I mean, it started when I was a kid, but just kind of like what could be, what's out there. And one of my side things growing up was that I ripped apart scanners, hacked ham radios, CB radios. If I wasn't making music, I was ripping stuff apart. And as time went on, I had all these kind of ideas of things I'd like to try to do, but the technology wasn't there. And then in 2000, like I don't know, nine, the mobile processing finally kind of caught up with the possibilities. So when the pandemic hit, I was speaking with Gibson as a Gibson artist about some of the different things they can incorporate technology wise. And I mentioned a collaborative virtual studio platform where people could go in and bring their real instruments and all that. I mentioned it to them, and they encouraged me to pursue it, and then it kind of snowballed into this whole beast. And in the process of building Meloscene out, I had to solve audio latency, which is just a constant thing. Obviously, internet, people know what latency is, video gaming, but in music, latency is a major thing. So what I did is I ended up solving it using a combination of just AI and current tech that we have and future tech that we're building, and ShadowGen it came into existence. And then that piece actually expanded out into pretty much every sector of telecommunications, satellite communications, military, you name it. So in a way, it was like all of a sudden, all of my thoughts and ideas and possibilities were possible, and everything that I began to pursue locked into place. So now I juggle kind of all these different pieces, but they all complement each other. So that's how ShadowGen came to be, was that it applies to It's going to reformat and restructure the entire telecommunications grid globally, and that's kind of the point of it. Yeah.
Interesting. So Meloscene is easily understandable, right? From the video that I share. I'm not sure I understand ShadowGen though, like combines AI and what else? Like I'm not sure about that company. It seems to be a moonshot to me.
So the thing about ShadowGen is it uses elements of AI to restructure and support systems that already exist. And I
Okay.
could totally break it down how it works, but then attorneys and stuff would get really mad at me. But basically, we've been sending things through cables and transmitting over, the electromagnetic spectrum, and we're coming to a bottleneck of where all data, audio, everything is about to be pinched, especially now that satellite's opening up. We have limited ways of doing bandwidth as a global populace. And so I've developed some systems that restructure how we approach that entirely so that we can open up a massive amount of data. So like for our current build that we're on right now, it reduces audio bandwidth by 99.6%. And the closest competitor is Meta's MLO, which we beat by 10 times. So there's everybody's kind of trying to figure out how to solve what's coming. And then our system is developed to solve that, but on top of it, it opens up a door for quantum telecommunications. And that's sort of like a big piece.
Right. So still in the prototype phase, probably in the funding phase, but yeah, tell me a bit more about like why you're the right fit to build that. Like as a musician, a futurist, like
Yeah.
you seem to be a wild card.
Yeah, I am a wild card. There's no doubt about that. Basically, because I branched it off, and we have Johns Hopkins University out of Maine or Baltimore. They're behind us on a bunch of stuff. They kind of jumped on board with it, and a bunch of other groups started jumping on board. But I mean, I lean a little bit on my degree in communications and mass media arts, and then my master's in global technology from ASU. And honestly, the biggest piece is that majority of people in technology, they don't understand the nuance of audio. And since I've been in that since like 10 or 11 years old, on anything from RF systems to studio equipment and everything in between, I understand kind of the dance that needs to happen between technology, audio, and communications in general. And that's where it's sort of become this thing where a team of engineers can build X, Y, and Z, but they might not understand the communicative nuances of how humans work. And so there's kind of like these weird clashes. So all that I did is I started doing all this stuff, and I've been, speaking around the globe about different things for a while now. And for whatever reason, this was it's timing, to be honest with you. The group, because I've been talking to DoD, DOJ, NASA, everybody under the sun, and we're headed towards this gridlock. And then when quantum computing, hit the media, they've officially realized that we're in a huge mess heading forward. So this is a solution that kind of like hits 50 different pain points. And really, if I had these ideas and whatnot years ago, but they just didn't apply. So it's really just the timing of it.
And you're running this company with your wife?
Yeah. So we run it. We have a CTO out of Cincinnati, and then we have a head of security out of Boulder. So we have like different groups on board. Yeah. But we kind of rolled over because she's been my manager for years. So we rolled over the management side. We rolled that into Meloscene. She's just phenomenal at business, and then that allows me to just build and create these things I've been kicking around since I was a kid. So yeah, it's just kind of like a tag team sort of thing.
And you feel that your musician background is giving you an edge in the entrepreneurial world?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, like my dad was an entrepreneur. He did different businesses and stuff like that locally where I grew up, which was in Montana. And it's pretty structured, right? You make something and then you sell something and there it is. But in the music industry, it's very slimy. You book a thing and they're like, well, it's a big project, so we're not going to pay you. In fact, you're lucky we talked to you. It's just like a whole other dynamic of having to navigate social hierarchies and things like that. So rolling from that into just technology and business in general, it's pretty cut and dry, where it's like, this can do this, it's going to save you this many millions a year. And then they go, sounds good. And so it's been, knock on wood, but it's been bizarrely simple because again, I've been in the music industry since I was a kid, and it's so random. There's no system in place. It's if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, you do this, you do this, you do this. There you go. Music industry, it changes every 6 months, so it's kind of like adaptability is the key.
Right. Do you feel AR is sort of flopping while AI is picking up massive speeds nowadays?
It goes back and forth, and we've known this since the beginning. Like when I launched Meloscene, AR and VR, that's a long game. And really, it was to solve a specific problem that also ties into where we're headed with data communication and everything else. AI is a lot easier for people to copy and paste and make systems out of. Bottom line, nobody knows what to do with AR and VR. So I see where AR and VR is going, specifically just because of meetings I've had with Meta and all these other groups. And that's coming. And so I wanted to be a part of building that kind of new world out, but it's not an overnight thing. AI, that's kind of the new thing. And it's going to be the new thing for a few more years before it finally should level off to a point where, your grandma's using it to find where to get groceries.
What are your thoughts on AIification of music nowadays? I think it was like Daft Punk that retired some time ago because they were like, AI is coming. Justin Bieber sold his library, Get It too, if my memory is good. So are these folks like overreacting? Can Drake be replaced by an AI? Do they have a brand mode? Do you feel we can just use like Sora.com and just create a better piece of music with our own taste? Is that the future of music?
So a couple of things to address. The catalog and the selling off of everything, that's more based on just what's happened with streaming, is that people do not make money from the end product anymore. So they saw the writing on the wall with that. They were like, if I cash out now, I can make some money before music becomes entirely devalued. And a lot of it has to do with just the infrastructure of the entertainment industry in the US. It has very, very bad copyright laws and artist protection, whereas in Europe, they work very hard. It's part of their culture. They want to preserve art, and the US doesn't typically care. When AI showed up, that's one of another of several pieces that actually I was like, okay, I want to focus more on what I'm doing over here because of songwriting. So like in a studio, if I'm working with like a Sony artist and they need lyrics, it's like I got like 15 minutes to hammer out a hook and everything. And while you're doing that process, there's always 15 people in the room throwing out lyric ideas, including the manager, right, who's, in the back eating a burger. So I saw that it was going to turn into that, where everybody's going to have a lyric because everybody's pulling it from AI. With that said, it will and is and has entirely devalued art to a place of where it's what Instagram did to photography. A photographer back in the day could make really good money depending on what they were doing. Now it is just a constant grind and hustle to make money on pretty much everything but the actual end product. So AI is absolutely cleaning house in the music world. I could make a list of all the different artists that are Grammy winning, Grammy nominated that have jumped ship because they see what's coming. And that goes back to what Meloscene is designed for, is it's a community aspect of art. So if you want to use AI in there to create your music, fine. If you want to use whatever, it's fine. It's more about whatever draws in community to have fun. So all that to say, AI music has basically gamified music creation. So now anybody can do it. Everyone is an artist, and there's horribly negative things from that and incredible positive things from it. So it's not a cut and dry situation.
Yeah, and as a consumer, I don't want to hear Drake's life, like I want to hear my life. I think it's just a couple of lines that we identify to him, and the rest is like, no, I don't want to hear that. So I think it makes sense. Yeah, on the lyrics side of things, but also on the musical side of things, right? Like I want to incorporate tracks that are inspiring to me and mix them with whatever rapper that I like, right? So or rapper's voice and flow and the way that they drop bars, for example. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting for photography. It's funny because I'm in Mexico. My wife is a photographer, and here in Oaxaca, it's still popular to ask for a photographer yet. So it seems like places like here, everything's catching up like 5 to 10 years later than in North America. It's always quite interesting for that. And want to ask you, you think a lot of time, you're futurists, you spend a lot of time in the space-time continuum that is further, or the illusion that it is, right? So
Right.
about your projections when it comes to the agentic age that we're about to hit, Q3, Q4, I feel it will really kick in this year. Like what will happen to the world? Are we drastically accelerating towards AGI?
I mean, there's so many ways that I could say this is what I think is going to happen, but honestly, it's dependent upon society's reception of it, right? Society operates like a flock of birds. So if it jumps on it, one of the things that's going to happen if society decides, yes, we want AI to handle everything. Humans have this obsession with worshiping things that they feel are better than them. And I could see that AI, it already is. Same thing Google did, right? All of a sudden, Google gave people a false sense of intelligence because they could Google information. They have no idea what to do with it. They can parrot it, but they have no idea how to parrot and create anything out of it. So Google, in a way, creates this sort of brain atrophy. If you know, it's and don't get me wrong, I love Google. I use it all the time. But AI does this thing as well, where all of a sudden it doesn't really matter what humans' opinions are of things. Let's run it by AI. So I see that if that is allowed, if governments really push for AI to start running systems, it will turn into a sort of weird pseudo worship of it as a society because it has all the answers. The problem, obviously, is that every AI system was designed and built by humans and has a certain bias one way or another. So I foresee the biggest problems being in the future society saying, well, that's because of this, and maybe a university professor saying that's not correct. And then the rest of society saying, AI says it is, so you're out. And then we no longer have, human interactions and innovation because everybody just wants to know what AI has to say, what AI's new song is, and what AI wants to do today. And that's the dark part of AI. I personally push for more of a symbiotic relationship with AI, where we treat it like a really smart librarian at the world's biggest library. And I say, I need to combine neuroscience and quantum physics, and they're going to be able to start working with me on that. That's my goal. Everything I'm building is for people in mind and how we kind of have a relationship with it. But it entirely depends on the power structure that exists, what they decide, and then it's going to trickle down to what people think. And then within 20 years, people could be like, they ask AI for virtually everything.
Right, because the agentic revolution will be quite different as well, because these AIs will have goals now, and they will be independent to do whatever they want, at least if it's included in the open AI plan, right? A limit
Right.
of, I don't know, like 10,000 searches per day. If
Mhm.
you pay for the pro plan, that would, they already have operator, but it's on command, right? It's not like go out there and make fucking $10,000 and come back to me
Right.
when it's right.
Right.
So I think that will unleash a wave of unpredictability, and also I'm not sure if yeah, this revolution will need humans' approval, because obviously there will be protests, right? Because of the jobs that will be slashed. There will
Right.
be regulations, but AGIs don't give a shit about that. They'll keep on
No.
doing their jobs and
Right.
making money while people are jobless, and they won't want to use these tools. They'll prefer complaining, suffering, the
Yeah.
human nature, how it is.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, and the real question behind that is that to have a healthy economy so that I can make money, even if I have my armies of AGIs, I need people to buy. And if people are jobless and they don't have the money to buy my shit, then yeah,
Right.
is it like AI agents buying from AI sellers? It brings a
Yeah.
weird future.
Well, I think and there's a million rabbit holes you can go down. But again, we've been here before. And I bring up this example anytime I'm talking to people and stuff, is that when the Industrial Revolution happened, there used to be a farm full of countless workers with rakes and shovels and things. And one day the guy that owned the land brought a tractor back and was like, who of you wants to drive the tractor? I'll pay you the same as you've been making digging holes, but you can drive the tractor, and all of you, everyone else, can go home. Where did they go? I have no idea. What happened next? There's turmoil, etc. So in a way, we've been here before. It's just that this one is happening when the world is more connected with information. So everybody knows every nuance of what's going on. So if let's say that we have good AI people running stuff and bad AI, my hope is that 15 years from now, everything's kind of balanced out, and it's more about individuals wrangling AI systems to do whatever needs to be done. So we might not be digging in, the dirt. We might be running multiple AI systems that have bots digging in the dirt, and that's a possibility, anyways.
Yeah, I'll sort of disagree with that because a tractor, for example, is just a machine, right? It's not a
Mhm.
thinking machine.
Right.
And yet, the part I'll agree with is that there will be new industries for sure,
Hmm.
but humans inside them, it would just be a performance to have a human
Yeah.
in the business or for
Well, here's
trust purposes because the AI would beat them at pretty much anything.
here's
So
here's what AI can't do though. AI can't, and I don't know if it ever will be able to. It cannot adapt to the on-the-fly nuances of social interaction and communication. Society one day wants to binge watch wizard movies, and the next day it doesn't even want to go to the movies. It wants to binge watch Netflix about crime and murder. Those dynamics require human interaction. Again, it's all speculation. So the tractor has its own mind, but the people of the local village are tired of eating corn. They don't want to eat corn anymore. They want the farmer to grow something else. That farmer needs to decide what to grow and then have the AI do it. So if the AI is going to exist with humans, it's dependent upon the moody fluctuations of society and then AI adapting to what that is. And even humans can barely keep up with that because, living in LA, fashion itself changes every 3 months. So again, I think it just depends. It comes down to what people want from the AI. And then, yeah, if we have rogue Cyberdyne AI, we have a whole different situation, But again, I approach it more from a symbiotic thing. Let's say we achieve that, but who knows, man? It could be sweet to have the T3000 walking around. I have no idea.
yeah, I think is what we want, but it's not necessarily what we'll get. I don't think we'll get like
Yeah,
these killer bots, but I think we will, but they will be prevented by good bots, right? Like Captain
right.
America is trying. Um, I do think that AIs are better than humans at predicting what they want. It's just a
Yeah,
million form of intelligence. It doesn't have emotions, but it understands
right.
emotions better than a human. But yes, it's speculative because this could go thousands of ways. But
Right.
I think AGI will be eventually able to predict all these scenarios, and that
Yeah.
would be pretty freaky until we sort of merge with it. Chad, where can people find out more about you?
The most active I am is probably on Instagram, Chad Gerber. Otherwise, they go to the websites, chadgerber.com. I don't know. I'm on Twitter. I don't know where. I don't remember my handle. Might be Woodrow Gerber. Or if you Google, I'll usually show up. It depends on who's Googling, but typically I show up at the top. So I'll have to see what's going on with my SEO on that situation. But otherwise, Instagram is the best place where I actually do things.
Yeah, and Spotify. So that was the